The vast ocean, source of all life, hides a giant monster about to awaken. A tropical paradise glowing under the sun, where people unknowingly enjoy a false peace. But deep, 3,000 meters down, the Earth's crust cracks open with a shaking roar. A massive column of water shoots into the stratosphere, tearing the blue sky to shreds. From the epicenter, a black wall of water 200 meters high rises, blocking the sun. Sirens wail in desperation, but it is already too late for anyone to find an escape. Skyscrapers of steel and concrete snap like matchsticks before the brutal power of the wave. The great suspension bridge connecting the bay is lifted into the air and shatters instantly. A massive oil tanker weighing tons is hurled inland like a mere plastic toy. Floodwaters rush at jet speed, sweeping away every trace of human civilization in their path. From above, the modern city is now just a chaotic whirlpool of mud and debris. The sky darkens as volcanic ash clouds spread, turning day into an eternal black night. In the final moment, terror is etched on the faces of those witnessing the apocalypse arrive. No retreat, no shelter left, only the confrontation with the most primal fury remains. This is the worst-case scenario scientists fear regarding the volatile Pacific Ring of Fire. When the Earth opens and the ocean collapses, the planet will rewrite the world map. A city once bright with lights now lies silent under cold and deadly ash. The remaining ruins stand as proof of human fragility before the power of nature. Welcome to Judgment Day, the day the ocean reclaims everything that belongs to it. This is the story of the supervolcano and megatsunami, history's most terrifying nightmare. The Pacific Paradise Islands welcome sunrise as usual, with long white sandy beaches and beautiful turquoise waters stretching endlessly. At coastal resorts, thousands of tourists immerse themselves in cool waters, completely unaware of the danger lurking right beneath their feet. However, 3,000 meters deep, seismic sensors begin recording unusual vibrations, increasing in intensity with every passing second. On the calm surface, murky yellow sulfur bubbles start boiling up, spreading a strong smell of rotten eggs everywhere. The sky suddenly darkens as millions of panicked seagulls fly frantically inland, creating a chaotic scene never seen before. Along the coast, massive pods of disoriented whales beach themselves on the sand, gasping helplessly before the power of nature. Suddenly, the ocean water begins receding from the shore at breakneck speed, revealing dead coral reefs and a muddy, slimy seabed. Instead of seeking shelter, curious tourists walk out with phones to film, mesmerized by the strange phenomenon they have never seen. The tsunami siren system begins screaming across the city, but its sound is quickly swallowed by the cracking noise from the earth. On the distant horizon, a strange dark line begins to rise, marking the beginning of a disaster that will erase everything in minutes. A column of magma at 1,200 degrees Celsius erupts, tearing the seabed and colliding directly with the massive cold water mass. This contact creates a natural thermonuclear-like reaction, triggering a steam explosion with the force of thousands of atomic bombs. A supersonic shockwave forms immediately, traveling at the speed of sound, plowing the ocean's surface into deep water trenches. In an instant, the shockwave hits the coast, blowing out all windows of high-rise buildings before the sound even arrives. Tourists standing on the beach are thrown back dozens of meters by the immense air pressure from the offshore explosion. The sky turns from blue to blood red as billions of tons of ash and hot rocks begin to fall like a meteor shower. From the crater's collapse, the ocean compresses and rebounds, forming a liquid monster 150 meters high. The tsunami travels at 800 kilometers per hour, as fast as a commercial jet cruising at altitude. As it enters shallow waters, friction slows the wave's base, causing the crest to rise into a massive wall of destruction. The wave's dark shadow covers the entire city, blocking out the last remaining rays of sunlight. The ancient lighthouse, standing firm for a century, is the first victim, crushed into powder in a mere millisecond. Next is the sea-crossing suspension bridge, the city's architectural pride, shaking violently under the pressure of the water. Steel cables snap with deafening pops, whipping through the air like giant whips of death. The entire bridge span buckles and collapses into the sea, dragging hundreds of trapped vehicles into the ocean depths. The water monster continues inland, devouring the harbor and tossing 100-ton cranes like toys. A docked aircraft carrier is lifted up, drifting freely and crashing into the coastal skyscrapers. Black water floods the main avenues, turning streets into rushing rivers of death. Luxury cars are swept away, crashing into each other and crushing like soda cans. Basements and subway stations become giant water traps, filling up completely in just a few short seconds. Water pressure breaches the dikes and seawalls, forcing salty seawater deep into the inner city. The city's iconic TV tower tilts and collapses, dragging tons of metal and cables to the ground. The coastal five-star hotel is punched through by waves at the ground floor, causing the building to collapse from structural failure. Substations explode in sequence, creating blue fireballs dancing on the dark, murky water. In office buildings, people panic and run to higher floors, faces pale as they look down at the raging flood. A desperate man clings to a traffic light pole, trying to keep his head above the rising water. Shards of broken glass from buildings fall like rain, turning the floodwater into a deadly sharp mixture. The roar of nature drowns out all cries for help, creating a symphony of destruction. A rescue helicopter tries to approach, but is knocked away by the cyclonic winds from the ash storm. The water sweeps away not just houses, but memories, history, and the lives of millions of people. The vast city now looks like a toy model submerged in a dirty bathtub by a naughty child. The destruction doesn't stop at the coast. The water continues pushing inland for dozens of kilometers. Lush green rice fields are buried under salty mud, signaling the famine that will follow the disaster. A chemical plant floods. Leaking tanks create clouds of toxic orange-yellow gas. Massive fires start breaking out on the water surface due to fuel leaking from gas stations and vehicles. Black smoke from fires mixes with volcanic ash, forming a morning veil covering the sky. At the international airport, giant airplanes are swept away, crashing into the terminal and causing massive explosions. A group of survivors stranded on a supermarket roof wave hopelessly as the water level continues to rise. In the rushing current, a dog tries to swim towards a wooden plank, a small but fiercely lively image. But nature has no mercy. A second wave arrives, higher and more devastating than the first. This follow-up wave extinguishes all rekindled hope, drowning the last structures still standing. The city is no longer a place for living. It has become part of the angry ocean. Statues of famous figures, symbols of culture and history, sink deep into the cold, dark water. This is the total collapse of a modern civilization in less than 60 minutes. No military force, no technology could stop this absolute power. Humans, who considered themselves masters of the earth, are now just tiny creatures praying for life. And as night falls, darkness covers the destruction, leaving only the growling sound of the sea. The water flow slows down, turning into a massive swamp filled with toxic, hazardous waste. The city's main arteries vanish completely under layers of thick mud and piled up car wreckage. The modern subway system is now a giant water tube, imprisoning everything inside total darkness. At central stations, thousands are trapped on upper levels, looking down at tracks turned into rivers. The international airport is submerged in a sea of water, jets lying scattered like stranded fish. The remaining overpasses become lonely islands, the final shelter for the lucky surviving vehicles. But this safety is only temporary, as the foundations of the bridge pillars are severely eroding. The national power grid collapses completely as flooded substations explode in an uncontrollable chain reaction. Darkness covers the city in the middle of the day due to thick volcanic ash blocking the sun. The telecommunications system is paralyzed. Millions of phones become useless bricks with absolutely no signal. No internet, no news. People are completely blind to the outside situation and their relatives' fate. Critical underground data centers are breached by salt water, wiping out billions of digital data records. The collapse of technology instantly throws humans back into the most primitive state of survival. Rumors of subsequent tsunami waves spread, triggering extreme fear within the chaotic, panicked crowd. On roads leading to high ground, congestion turns into a horrific tragedy of human stampede. Screams and wailing echo everywhere, but no one can stop to help those who have fallen. Survival instinct rises powerfully, blurring the boundaries of compassion during moments of life and death. Families are separated in the crowd, calling names of loved ones that drown in the wind's roar. Supermarkets and convenience stores are looted clean as people fight for every single bottle of water. Money and jewelry are now meaningless. The most precious thing right now is just dry ground. The air becomes thick with the smell of sulfur, gasoline, and the scent of decaying death. Rain begins to fall, but not clean water. It is black acidic mud rain caused by volcanic ash. A thick layer of ash coats every object in gray, making the scene look like a dead planet's surface. Freshwater reserves are contaminated by salt and toxins, pushing survivors into the risk of disease outbreaks. Environmental temperature drops sharply as ash clouds block sunlight, causing a nuclear winter effect. Oil fires spreading on the water continue burning fiercely, creating a paradox of fire and water coexisting. Drowned wildlife and livestock float everywhere, further increasing the tragic nature of the catastrophe. As night falls, the fear of what hides in the darkness becomes even more haunting and obsessive. Small fires from survivor groups start to flicker, faint points of light in a black ocean. On a roof, a father tries to catch black raindrops to filter drinking water for his child. A group of young men uses floating wooden doors as rafts, trying to search for victims. Rescue helicopter sounds echo from afar, but they cannot land as no safe landing zone remains. Field hospitals are hastily set up on high grounds, but they severely lack medical supplies. The injured lie scattered on the cold ground, waiting for a miracle that is unlikely to happen. Near dawn, the ash storm begins to settle, leaving behind a silence that is terrifyingly eerie. Skyscrapers that were once symbols of prosperity now stand tall like dry, hollow skeletons. The calm water reflects the image of a dead city, with no life, no sound remaining. Humans step out from shelters, staring blankly at the new world they are forced to accept. No traffic noise, no music, only the sound of waves gently lapping against crumbled walls. A child's bicycle lies abandoned on a mud pile, its wheels still spinning slowly in the breeze. Search and rescue efforts begin, but the hope of finding survivors is as fragile as a candle in the wind. This is the price paid for human complacency before the unparalleled power of Mother Nature. From this rubble, a new world order will be established, harsher and more humble. But that is tomorrow's story. Today, humanity must learn how to bury its past,